Test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test.
Part of summer is swimming in my pool.
Oh, summer. It sounds good right now after what we just experienced, doesn't it? Grilling out, lawns being mowed, and pools opening. These are some of the things we expect with summer.
Summer series. Hi guys. Hello guys, and welcome back to the summer series. It is Brittany here, and today we will be talking once again about moving with VIPKid. But this time it will not be all about me, I promise. This time I'm going to give you 5 tips. Yes, 5 for moving with VIPKid. Now, I moved across the country, so my move was a little bit of a prolonged move, but these tips will also apply to a quick and easy move as well. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So, my first tip for you all, if you are moving and working for VIPKid, is to let your parents and your students know ahead of time. Now, you can do this in a few different ways. Personally, the main way that I let my students and my parents know that I would be moving would be through feedback. And so when I was writing my feedback about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks before we moved, I was writing at the very, very end of my feedback, I was saying, just to let you know, I will be moving to a new house starting on this date. Thank you in advance for your patience during my move. I would love to see your student again when I am back in the classroom. It will probably be sometime in the month of July. You know, something like that, something simple. Remember, when you are writing your feedback, it is being translated from English to Chinese. So some of it might get lost in translation, so try to keep it a little bit on the simple side. Don't give too many specifics on dates because it could get lost in translation. Just, in general, let them know you'll be moving for a few weeks or a few days or however long, and that you won't be in the classroom for that time. This way, they can kind of prepare ahead of time and know, like, hey, when I don't open my slots, it's because I'm moving, right? So that's in the feedback. I also let some of my students know that I would be moving. I really only did this for my regular students, so students that I have taught. For me, a regular is more than 10 times. So a student that I have taught for more than 10 times, at the end of class, when I was probably about a week before I was moving, or, the last class before I was moving that I saw them, I would tell them, Johnny, did you know that I will be moving to a new house? At the very, very end of class. So once we were done with the lesson, I would say this. And they'd be like, no, oh my gosh, that's so fun, Teacher Brittany, or whatever. And then I would tell them a little bit about it. I'd be like, yes. And I'd pull up my map and be like, I have to move all the way from here, New Mexico, all the way to here. So it is a very long time I will be moving. And they'd be like, wow. So, you kind of get your students on board, and then they know what you're doing while you're gone. As a brick and mortar teacher, when I would have days out, I would usually try and tell my students ahead of time so that they kind of know, like, what their teacher is doing, and it always made them be on a better behavior while I was gone, especially if it was like a doctor's appointment or something, because I think deep down they kind of felt bad because they were like, oh, is something wrong, even though nothing was wrong. And I think it's kind of the same way for VIPKids. Obviously, we're not worried about behavior, but it keeps you in the back of their mind so that then they know, like, oh, I wonder what teacher so-and-so is doing. I wonder if their move is going good. And these kids are so sweet. I got a lot of the little e-cards that they can send you that are saying, like, oh, I hope you're loving your new house. I can't wait to see you soon. All of that good stuff. So they will be very receptive. The parents will be too. Personally, I do not use WeChat, but if you do, that's a whole nother can of worms for a whole nother podcast, and I'd love to talk about it sometime, but the parents might reach out to you on there if you let them know ahead of time, or you can let them know ahead of time that you're moving on there as well. So those are some of the ways that you can make sure that your students and your parents know that you're moving before you actually move, and they were pretty effective for me. Now that I'm back, all of my regulars that have come back so far have been asking me about, how my new house is, how my move was, stuff like that. So they obviously were paying attention to what I was writing in the feedback and what I was saying. So I think that it has proven successful. So that is tip number 1. If you are moving and you are a VIPKid teacher, let the parents know, let the students know ahead of time so that they're not like, where did the teacher go? I have no idea. And then just move on because they think you've dropped off the face of the earth. All right. Number 2, my second tip for you if you are moving with VIPKid is don't feel pressured to teach while you're moving. For me personally, I knew that this move was going to be so stressful that I was not going to teach while I was moving. I wanted to have everything moved and settled in before I started teaching again, just because our move was such a long ways and we had so much going on in between. You might be different. If you are doing a shorter move or if you feel comfortable teaching while you're moving, then that is one of the great things about this job. So if you are going to teach while you're moving, maybe still let your students know, but maybe say, I'll be cutting back my hours or whatever and only working on these days because I'm moving. Just make sure that you let them know what's going on, even if you are teaching while you're moving. But a big thing is don't feel pressured to teach because, we all know that moving is very stressful, and no matter if you're moving down the street or across the country, you don't need more stress put on that plate. So if you don't want to teach, then don't teach. Don't open your slots. If you do want to teach, then teach. That is the beauty of working for a company like VIPKid. You get to choose when you teach. You get to choose when you don't want to teach. So that is that. If you are not teaching while you're moving, this is my third tip. I highly suggest that you have pre-written priority booking request feedback on your phone. So since you are taking time off with VIPKid, you are probably going to receive some priority booking requests. If you don't already know, a priority booking request is when a student can request you as their teacher for a time slot even if you don't have it open. It does not mean that you have to teach the slot. You can either accept it or not accept it, but those will come in if you don't open the normal slots that you have and you have regular students or not regular students that want to take class with you. So most likely, if you're closing your class time slots for a long period of time, you're going to receive priority booking requests. Now, I have the app on my phone, which came especially in handy for when we were moving. And you can get the priority booking requests on your phone. They come in and they notify you. So you will get the notification that pops up on your phone. It says you have a new priority booking request. You click it. And then if you're going to refuse it, which I had to refuse a lot because I was obviously moving and not teaching, a little pop-up comes up with some reasons as to why you don't want to accept the booking slot. So if you click refuse on the little priority booking request pop-up, you have some options. You can click, you'll be dealing with a personal matter, you're traveling, you have a medical appointment, you're going to a wedding, somebody in your family has passed away, you have other commitments, you're just not available at that date and time, you're not ever available at that date and time, you have a family matter or a holiday, or you have some kind of emergency. Those are all the things you can choose from. So there are a lot of reasons why you can refuse a priority booking request. And then at the very bottom, once you have chosen one of those reasons, there's also a little blurb where you can write something that goes to the parent that has requested you for that time. And I highly recommend that you fill this out no matter if you're moving or not, if you're ever refusing a booking request, just because it kind of shows you're not just like, no, I don't care about you, I'm just not taking your booking request. right? It comes off to the parents as I have a good reason and here it is. So what I did was before I went and started moving, I made sure on the notes of my phone, I'm pretty sure that all phones pretty much have this app. I have a Samsung, so mine is just Samsung Notes. I know that iPhones have it. It's just whatever notes app your phone has. It's a little notebook, and you can write in there whatever you'd like to say to parents. So for me, every time that I was refusing a priority booking request, I was writing that I had I will be moving at this time, right? The I will be traveling option. So I would click the I will be traveling option, and in the little blurb at the bottom, I would write, thank you so much for your priority booking request. Unfortunately, I am currently moving to a new house. I will be back in the classroom in the month of July, and I would love to see your child then. Thank you for your patience during my move, Teacher Brittany, right? That's what I wrote. And so I had that already written out in my notes section so that whenever I had a priority booking request, I could go into my notes, copy it, and paste it into the priority booking request in the VIPKid app. And every time I didn't have to go in there and type it all out again, right? Because the more time you have to go in and type it all out again, the less likely you are to do it. And then, like I said, you're coming off bad to the parents. So I highly suggest that you have something pre-written in your phone so that when you're getting those priority booking requests, you can just copy and paste it, and it's super easy. It doesn't take a lot of time. If you're on the road, you don't have to spend a lot of time rewriting. If you're driving, don't do it while you're driving, obviously. But if you're driving, you can do it quick the next time you stop to get gas or a snack or whatever works for you. And that's something you can apply to your normal bookings too. I always have that in my notes section for normal booking requests. Even if I'm not moving, I have something written just so that I can quickly and easily copy and paste it into the priority booking request notification. So that is tip number 3. Have some pre-written booking request stuff on your phone to make your life a little easier. Now, tip number 4 that I have for you if you are moving as a VIPKid teacher or really any at-home teacher or even a brick and mortar teacher is to pack all of your classroom things into one box or one kind of box. This makes it a lot easier to unpack when you get to your new house or wherever you're living. I personally was able to fit all of my classroom stuff into one box. And I did not use a cardboard box. I went to Home Depot and bought some plastic bins, like the heavy duty plastic bins, and I put all of my stuff in there. And then I made sure to label them on top with, Brittany's classroom stuff, so that then I knew what to look for while we were unpacking, and I could get my classroom out first and start teaching again. This works, like I said, if you're a brick and mortar teacher as well. Pack all your classroom stuff into the same kind of box so that when you're unpacking, if you need to start the school year or move in or whatever, you can unpack very quickly once you get settled in. Personally, this made it a lot easier for me because I knew I was going to have my own office room in our new house, and so I was able to just grab all of it was only one box of my classroom stuff, grab the box of my classroom stuff and make sure that it was in that room so that I could unpack it and start teaching. And that was a priority for me because I wanted to start teaching, obviously, and start making that money again. So I made sure that I could find the bin very easily, unpack everything, and get going. And that will make your life a lot easier. You can use a cardboard box if you want, but speaking from personal experience, cardboard boxes, they get crushed and ripped and poked and tipped and untaped and rained on very easily. So if you're putting things in there that you do not want to get ruined, especially if it's like technology or lighting or pieces of paper that your props are made out of, I would highly recommend investing in something plastic, like a plastic sealed bin, so that no bugs get in there, no rain gets in there, nothing is going to poke through the bin. Well, I guess it could still happen, but most likely nothing is going to poke through the bin. All of your classroom stuff will be safe and sound inside. So I highly recommend you get a plastic bin. They are not very expensive. I think the one that I got from Home Depot was $10 at the most. and it's pretty big. So it's worth the investment to do that. All right, so that is tip number 4, which means we're almost done, guys. And it brings us to tip number 5. And to me, tip number 5 is one of the most important. So listen up, people. Tip number 5 that I have for you if you are moving as a VIPKid teacher is to have realistic expectations for yourself once you get to where you're going, to where you're moving. Don't expect yourself to get back into teaching right away. That was something that I did not do personally. I was thinking, oh yeah, hey, I'll be back and up and running in a week once we get there. Yeah, that didn't happen. So plan for the worst, hope for the best, but have realistic expectations. Don't get angry at yourself if you can't start teaching again right away. It takes a while to get settled in, to set up internet, to set up a classroom, and you want to give these kids that you're teaching a quality course. You don't want to be sitting in a dark corner with a tiny map behind you and one reward because you feel like you have to teach. So have realistic expectations for yourself when it comes to going back to teaching. Take however much time you think you need because your mental health will directly impact your students and how they perceive you in class. And therefore, if you are not having a good time, if you feel pressured, if you feel stressed, your students are going to not have as much of a fun time in class. And then your bookings are probably not going to go up anyway. So you teaching earlier is not helping yourself. Another thing that you need to make sure you have realistic expectations about is your bookings when you get back into teaching. You have taken some time off. Some of your regulars, even if you knew that Johnny was your loyal student, you were his only teacher, he probably has taken some classes with another teacher while you've been gone. And unfortunately, maybe he likes that, not unfortunately, but maybe he likes that teacher and he wants to stick with them, right? So you can't expect all of your students to come running back to you. It's gonna happen. You're gonna lose a few and your bookings might be decreased for a little while. Personally, I'm about a week into going back to teaching and my bookings are definitely not full like they were when I moved, but for the most part, I'm still okay. I'm teaching regularly, and I didn't expect my bookings to be full again right when I came back to teaching. So you have to have realistic expectations when it comes to that. From my experience, it probably won't be as bad as like when you first started teaching with VIPKid because you're not rebuilding your whole profile again. You have students that already know who you are. You have experience already, so they're going to come back quicker, but they aren't going to come back right away. So just know that and keep that in mind when you're moving. You have to, accept that moving is an inconvenience, but it is necessary, and you have a real life behind this computer screen. You're not just a VIPKid teacher all the time. You got to deal with real life sometimes. So, that being said, that is my 5 tips for you guys. But for listening all the way to the end of this, I have a quick tip for you guys, and it's a bonus tip. So, I lied. I'm giving you 6 tips today, not 5. So, my 6th bonus tip, and this is speaking from experience. If you are moving, make sure that you change your location in VIPKid, especially if, like me, you are moving from a different time zone. As many of you guys know, when I first started with VIPKid, I had a rough start. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, I will link it in the description so that you can go check it out. But needless to say, I missed my first few classes with VIPKid because I didn't wake up. And part of the reason why I didn't wake up is because I didn't change my time zone when I moved from Texas to New Mexico. Texas is on Central Time, New Mexico New Mexico is on Mountain Time. So they're an hour different. And you'll miss a class if you don't change it, especially if you don't realize that you don't change it. Because on your schedule, it'll say, oh, you have a class at 4 a.m., but really you have a class at 3 a.m. So it's going to mess you all up. And moving from New Mexico to South Carolina, I went from Mountain Time to Eastern Time. And this time, you guys, be proud, I did not forget to change it. So if you don't already know, the way that you change it is you log into your VIPKid portal, you go to the My Info tab, and then you go down to Account Center. And when the Account Center pops up, it'll already be on the page that you need, and that page is called Account Information. If you scroll all the way down, like it's like the second to last little section, it says Contact Information. Make sure that you update your address and your time zone. Then all of your scheduling for opening up slots, your bookings page, your bookings panel, everything will update to the correct time zone, and you'll be golden. You won't miss a class. So that is my bonus tip, but really that's a very important tip. So hopefully you listened to this whole thing and hopefully you got that. All right, so that is for real it, you guys. Really, the moral of the story is don't be afraid to move with VIPKid. I was forced to move, but if you want to move across the country, don't be afraid that it's going to mess up your bookings or your job or your rapport with your students or whatever. It's not that bad. You'll come back, your students will understand, and then you have a cool story to tell all of your VIPKid friends. Like, hey, yeah, I moved across the country and I survived and I'm still a VIPKid teacher. So that is it for today, you all. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back again next Tuesday with another podcast. If you don't already, make sure you go follow me on Instagram so that you can see all of the schedules for what we will be talking about next week and stay updated on my life. Go ahead and make sure that you check out my website. It is linked in the description, and reach out to me if you have any questions. I have an email. You can reach out to me through my website, through my Instagram, through my Facebook, and like I just said, I am a parrot. I'm repeating the same thing over and over again. Like I just said, everything is linked in the description below. It was great to talk with you all. I will be back on Tuesday. Remember to teach regularly, play often, and live your best life. Have a good one. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this podcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell so you are notified when I upload a new episode. Also, you can check out my website by using the link in the description below, and all of my social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to meet you on there as well. And if you're interested, you can check out some of my older videos and my new videos here and here. Thank you for watching. Bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, there it is. Bye-bye.